Hello guys, I'm an artist, Yaroslav Ternovskyi, and today we're going... Hello guys, I'm an artist, Yaroslav Ternovskyi, and today we're going to paint a wonderful still life. I've just got this still life right behind me. Well, we're gonna get the effects of light using the limited palette. We're gonna talk about compositional tricks and about coloring tricks which might be helpful for you in your art endeavors. So let's get started. Alright guys, each and every time we start with the compositional drawing, and you might get used to it well now, I think. And of course the main object is that wonderful persimmon which you can observe on the background, and I want to paint it as large as possible here, so to produce this close-up effect, this macro effect. And now I'm thinking of not to put it in the center of my composition, just, you see this, with this tiniest strokes, with this not very wide brush, I start to make my composition. And just two pieces of persimmon are here. They are very close to our main fruit, so I just need to think how I would orient them in the space. I just don't want this piece under the persimmon itself. I'm just trying to, as you see, I'm just moving my object from one area to another in order to find the best position. I also don't forget about the falling shadows, which won't be here, I mean, which go beyond the canvas. Here they are. And I use for my compositional drawing scarlet. I don't apply too much paint, just finding the best solution. Of course I want to show a bit of plate. It's a square shaped plate. I don't want to paint it all, but to some extent it would be nice. Just want to show this particular angle, and then it goes beyond the canvas as well. Here we are. When I'm ready with the composition, I just can highlight some areas here and there, like that. Here we've got the leaves on the pot with which it connects to the plant. Well, that's the beginning, and my next step, I need to cover the whole canvas with the color as fast as possible. So I'm going to use the widest brush I have in my possession, and also this brush is made of bristle. Bristle holds as much paint as possible. Here is my bristle brush, and let's check. Let's say see what we have on our palette. It's scarlet, it's cadmium red, cadmium orange, and yellow. Then lemon yellow. Yellow ochre, burnt umber, violet, blue phthalo, and ultramarine, and of course titanium white. I think that's the palette we need for the composition. I'm going to start with orange, with the brightest and the most powerful color which we have in our composition, and I will complete it with cadmium yellow. I don't mix too much on the palette. I just started applying them directly to the canvas Also using lemon plus cadmium yellow, I'm starting filling the pieces of the fruit, and I'm just rubbing the brush against the surface in order to get the very thick layer of paint. Here we are. I just want to get as brightest areas as possible here. You see, just don't hesitate, because those pieces of persimmon, they also getting dry and they change their shape and they change their color a bit, so we need to work quite fast. Also adding some scarlet plus orange, cadmium orange. I started working on the shadow of the persimmon. Here it is. And I deliberately chosen the blue drapery here because the blue color completes the overall composition nicely with its cold areas. We must understand that though the color is blue, we can't paint it just pure blue on our painting, because the light, the warm light and the color of our fruit also affects it. So as you might see, I just started adding the scarlet here and there on the background, and now it's time to add some blue. Start with ultramarine in the darkest areas, maybe shadows. Again, I'm rubbing the brush against the surface in order to get a relatively thick layer of paint. That will help us to work further when we need to correct the hue of the color. Here is the falling shadow. The falling shadows are the strongest, are the darkest areas here in our painting, and those darkest areas will make the necessary contrast. Then I also use blue phthalo plus titanium white, and I'm getting this, you see, very nice blue color. We don't need it too much blue, but now my objective is to fill all the whole canvas with the paint, and then we'll work further on it, just maybe here. Then again I switch to ultramarine and I work very energetically and with no hesitation. Need to cover all the white areas, because since the white areas are here, they are distracting, and of course they represent the lightest color, and we only have the pure white to indicate the strongest light. So since we've got some pure white areas in our painting, it's difficult to get the overall effect of light. So as you see, I don't try to catch the exact color, I don't try to catch the very precise hue now, because it's impossible. Generally it's possible, and some artists even compare the paint on the brush with the nature, just like that. But if you do this, look, the paint on the brush looks here like violetish, like bluish, and when I change the position of the brush and now it's lit by another source of light, it changes its color, so it's impossible to get the correct color on the brush. So what we can do, we can just compare colors one with another while we are working on the surface here of the canvas. So don't try to get the right color since the very beginning. Well, then I just want some interesting purple tones here and beyond the pieces of the fruit. Here we are, and we need more ultramarine. Here, as you see, I started making color contrasts. I deliberately have chosen the blue drapery here. They enhance the orange and yellows. On the canvas. Also, I will add more light here. So just use titanium white plus ultramarine here and there. Again, here is my glass plate. Here we are. I just desperately want to get rid of all those white areas. As you see, I just don't care about the accuracy. And so one thing you need to remember, you don't need to try to get this very accurate borders for now, but of course you need to stick to your composition, to your overall composition, in order to get nice results at the later stages of the painting. Again, I just getting rid of all those white areas. Just don't need them. Yeah. Here we are. Yes, that's it. Well, now we can start work more deliberately on those green parts, or as we see them, dark parts of our persimmon. And I just use dark color despite the fact that just I see them some green hues, but as you might observe, greens here are just minor. What's more important is the darkness itself, just some dark area, and maybe I'll add some dark things here and there. And now we see the model of our painting, and our next steps are about improving the model. So for example, I just start adding some ochre plus ultramarine to the surface of the plate here. Also, I will add some purple areas using scarlet plus titanium white around the object, because I want to make it shining, and this purple areas will work very nicely, especially when I surround them with ultramarine darkened area. As you might see here, look, it starts shining, this area starts working. And of course the farthest area from the source of light might be darkened and with some phthalo blues, ultramarine. So experiment with color, do it boldly. Don't be shy of experiment. It leads to a nice achievements. It leads to unexpected results, and this unexpectancy is the most beautiful part of artistic work. When you get something new which you can't expect, some maybe color combination. As you see, I just added some ochre here, and it works. It makes this area grayish. So this area is more blue now. And also we understand that from that corner the light comes. Also I'll add some reflection to the shadows. Some strong reflection using scarlet. You see, like that. And it helps to demonstrate, to make this irradiation. Well, let's add some strong cadmium red to the fruit here. Some kind of shadow border. You see, I just added the strongest, the most powerful red, which is cadmium red. I have the possession to the persimmon. Maybe we'll maintain it with oranges here, like that. And again, cadmium yellow plus orange will work here. Some areas I can use titanium white, but not much. It's just the strongest areas of light here. The strongest areas. It's possible to use titanium white, but do not overuse it. It might be harmful. And also I can make just this glimpse of light, glittering area, but I do not use the pure titanium white. I always mix it, in this case, even with phthalo and a bit of ultramarine, make it more interesting, more glowing. Again, I can add some purple tones on the fruit here, and it's also help my fruit communicating with the background, with the plate. Now I'm working with the pieces. Of persimmon, and I think that we need more orange color. Let's work a bit on the peel. Also can lighten it using titanium, but not much. Beware of using white colors. in your painting because they might desaturate your color mixtures. So the more white colors, the more desaturated picture becomes. It can be easily explained by the fact that the white color as itself, that it doesn't have any hue, any chromatic color. It has just white pigment, and when you mix it with other paints, naturally you make the mixture less saturated, less intense less intense in terms of color. So be careful of using white. That doesn't mean that you must be afraid of it. No, just so here is the time we just starting making details, but making details doesn't mean we're just paying attention to every little detail, every little spot on the fruit, on the drapery. We're just starting applying more accurate colors, more accurate hues here, and of course we pay a bit of attention to the brush strokes. As you see, the angle of the brush stroke, the length of it, and the thickness of it, all of this are important. You see, I just adding a bit greenish hues here. They work well. They show the juiciness of the persimmon. And again, this orange hues, and again a bit greenish or throughout ochre. Again, the experiment, you see some darkened areas. Here we are. Right. Here we are. And again, we can work further on the drapery. We can indicate the strongest light here. As you see, I leave it just very light, very strong. Now we need to show the plate itself, and also the fact that it's made of glass. Also, this plate has deep reflections. As you can see, that some orange and yellow. So we can use those colors for the reflections. And again, under the plate, the area is of light blue and ultramarine. Here is the chance to get rid of all those remnants of white areas here. And again, the closer area to the source of light, the lighter it is. Here we are. And now we can show some glimpses, some glitterings on the glass, and we remember that those glitters, they are darker than the main glittering area, which is here on our fruit. And don't forget to mix the colors for them. Even the lightest areas, the lightest surfaces, they've got the coloring, so they are not pure white. And we always have to remember that in order to make our painting interesting, picturesque and professional. And again, if you noticed my stages of painting, I just painting here and there, just some brush strokes on the persimmon, some brush strokes on the pieces, some brush strokes on the plate. I'm in constant move and search, and that helps me to make my painting very united in terms of shapes, in terms of color, and in terms of composition. Of course, we can show some transparency, again coming back to the background, again some touches on the foreground, and I constantly compare the colors, the value of the color, the saturation. Here we've got the saturated area because of the glass. Some gray areas, which is made of ultramarine plus burnt umber. Here we are. And of course the lighter area next to the persimmon, as you see, shows this. I don't forget to clean the palette knife because I need it clean for each and every stroke. And as you can see, it gives me some extra effect of the smooth surface. And again, I don't forget about the pieces. Persimmon. And of course the green area here Need to make it more interesting, and even some darkest shadows, deep shadows here. And even with some ochre to some extent here and there, and even some ultramarine plus scarlet plus titanium. It makes some purple lights here. And the tiniest thing, the edge of it might be very interesting, which shows the nature of the fruit. Here some lighter area. Well, and now using smaller brush, we can work further on some details. Like here, it's better to add some other hues and colors with the brush, and then if you need to even them, you can use the palette knife. And again, here I can work on some specific form of the leaves if we need to. And here, of course, some artists, they use palette knife for the whole painting, but using the brush you can get more accurate tone and more accurate hue, which is necessary for realistic painting. Well, using some ochre, it gives us warm tones, but we need to golden them with ultramarine and scarlet plus titanium. But be careful of using lights here. I mean, white color. And even some red tones are also might be interesting, because in this area the reflections from the pieces of persimmon are present. The darkest area here, just in one small tiny brush stroke, I show the darkest area. And that's a good rule for the artist, that on the canvas you must have just one single dark area, I mean the darkest area, and one area which is the lightest. It's here. All the other places must. And when I need to show the light, I just use the some variations between the lightest mixture and the darkest. Here we are. And I soften this dark areas because I don't need too much contrast here, because it starts dragging our attention to these areas which are not very important. So that's why I'm softening them. And again, some lightest areas here. Some ultramarine beyond the plate, which demonstrate its transparency, and also I can prepare some greenish, nice gray tone and show with it, indicate the border of the plate, and gives us some feeling of the glass because of its green nature. And again, I soften this light area. I don't want it to glitter very intensively. And of course, to finish, just want to demonstrate the surface of the plate. Here we've got many gray areas, which is very interesting as well. And of course, it gives us the feeling of the vessel where the fruit is laying. Here it is, some glitterings, but notice which color I used for glitters here. It's very low intense ochre plus titanium, and it gives me the right feeling of the plate. Some edges are soft, and that's okay because I want to enhance the persimmon plus its pieces. I don't need too much tension on the plate. And again, here we've got the color of drapery, which is well lit with the source of light, main source of light. And some areas I need to darken to show the transparency of pieces. So if you noticed, again, I just want to convince you to work on the whole area of the canvas, not to stick with just a single area and try to get as accurate thing as possible. That's not the thing. Here we are, again, the light area here. I don't want it again. And of course, we need to unify the painting. I mean, just you can use some slight brush strokes even to soften some areas to make it more smooth here and there. When I don't want sharp edges, palette knife is also helpful. It's one of the greatest artists said that you don't need to paint too accurately. You need to paint in a manner it's very similar to the nature, to the real life object. That's the thing. So I don't try to get absolute accuracy, and it's not necessary. Here we are. If I need some further amendments, I just make them. Yeah, that's fine. So all we need to do is just to put our surname here. Well guys, I hope you got your wonderful persimmon on your canvases. Click the thumbs up and subscribe to our channel not to miss forthcoming interesting videos. See you later.